Okay, I've been asked to do a tutorial on how to unwrap more complex assets. Here's the question up here, how to UV unwrap more complex assets. This is a really good question because we've looked at how to UV unwrap in general and we've looked at unwrapping basic assets, but what happens when things get more complex? The short answer to that is nothing changes really. I mean, UV unwrapping is a simple process, and with complex assets, you just break down the complicated structure of the asset into simple shapes and unwrap the simple ones. So we don't really unwrap complex assets. We unwrap lots of simple assets. I'll show you what I mean as we go, but I think. That's the thing to bear in mind, is that we need to break assets down into sort of their major component parts and then unwrap those. So don't unwrap complex assets. Unwrap lots of simple assets. Okay, with that said, let's just have a quick review of going through how to use UV unwrapping. Now, one thing I will just mention is we have up here in 3ds Max getting started on Electric Monk. If we go through here, we've got this video series here, UV Unwrapping in 3ds Max. It is a video series from Adobe, where it goes through, from Autodesk, sorry, where you go through unwrapping a little range of objects. We can see that here. And this is the things that you will unwrap. So you go through all of the different types of objects, 1, 2, and 3, and look at ways within which you can unwrap them. Now, this is what I'm going to use. First of all, I'm going to go over an introduction to UV unwrapping, because that's always helpful. Then we'll look at how these are unwrapped here, yeah, and then look at the ways that we can recreate it. And then what I think I'll do is we'll deconstruct something that I'm working on at the moment, which is, if I just render that out, you can see this character that I'm building, and we'll have a look at some of the ways within which the, let me just cancel that. Some of the ways within which the face and head and neck is rendered, so how we UV unwrap that. And then we'll also look at here, down in the feet, if we just render that, we'll look at an approach of how I would go about unwrapping these. Not 100% sure what you mean, or what we would define as complex assets, but I think these are fairly complicated, and they sort of cover the majority of the use cases that you're going to come across. So, with that said, let's just have a quick review of the unwrapping tools. Now, again, actually, one thing I will just mention, this is using all of the 3ds Max functionality, all of the things in the training from Autodesk. Yeah, so if you're following along with these, they'll show you the by the book way to do things. It's good. It is relatively old, but the tools haven't changed for ages in 3ds Max, so they're all still current, so that's not a problem. But things are a lot easier when we use text tools. Okay, so we've looked at this before in class multiple times. This little plugin that allows us to iron and relax things. Okay, just because I'm recording and everything, I'm going to close these things in the background. And I'll open them up later, so we can hopefully get some good playback. Right, okay, so text tools. Let me just show you where you can get the plugin. As I say, we've gone over this before, but if you go to, just type in text tools for 3ds Max, you'll come to this site, text tools. Click on here, we'll find the documentation. And also text. Don't download the one for Blender unless you're using Blender. Text tools for 3ds Max. Here it is. Download the MZP file here, which is the Max plugin file. Drag and drop it into the viewport. Click on install, and there you go. You've got it. If you want to embed it on the toolbar here, all you need to do is go to customize user interface. We'll look at toolbars, and we can scroll down. If we click and actually press T, we'll jump to the T's. Eventually we'll find text tools, and we just drag it, and put it up here. Just dump it there, and it will be there permanently. That way that you can open it and close it at will. Mine always opens on the second monitor, so I just always have to drag it on for you to see it. Okay, so with that said, let's have a look at unwrapping a couple of shapes. Now, it is fairly procedural in the way that you need to approach this. Let's say we wanted to unwrap a box. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to convert it to an editable poly, and I'm going to throw on a UV unwrap modifier. Okay, so we've got what's known as, if we look down here, we've got map seams and peel seams. So I've got map seams selected. These are the green lines. So these are seams of our UV islands, things that stand alone, segments. Now each face here, each polygon, all 6 of them, is its own little block. Now obviously, what we need to do is to make sure that we have no seams, so that textures, procedural textures and other types of textures just will happily flow around around an object. And we need to be really careful as to where we place the seams to make sure that that we're getting it right. So and we get the look that we want, which all depends on where we place the object, where in the scene and how we're looking at it. If we run around it, then it's important. If we're only ever going to see it like here and off in the distance, then it may not be too important. So having a good understanding of from your pre-production of what you actually need to make good and to what level you need to make it is critically important. It speeds everything up. So you've got map seams and peel seams, and we will have a look at both of them. Generally, the peel seams are more important or more useful to an extent. So just be aware of that there. Right, so we're going to open up the UV editor, and that's going to come across here. So if I scroll out on our UV space, this is our texture. If I drop that down and let's have a look at our texture checker, we can see that, look at the dark blue there, dark blue, dark blue, dark blue, dark blue. Yeah, each texture is or part of this image is being projected onto a face. Okay, so if I select all of them, they're stacked up on top of each other, so I can see each face. The reason why I've done that is if I close that for a second, I'm going to go over here, draw a box, like so. I drew it with generate mapping coordinates already on there. So it's as I create objects, default mapping coordinates are on, and that's generally on every tool by default. So just be aware that you are drawing some UVs and creating them as you create objects. But let's have a look at that. I'll come out of the box tool. So we've got that. We'll open that. Now let's start to move those around just to see. Let's go back to that one. It's a bit easier. If I was to take one of these, and then I'm not sure which one I've got, so nothing's moving there. There you go, one on the bottom. So if we see that, how it's projected, like dark blue here in that corner, you can see that here. Yeah, it's moving around. So whatever, and also note, it doesn't just go grey when we go out, because this UV space is known as 1-1. This is 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. It's a grid. Yeah, rows and columns. So we've got 1-1. That would be 2-2. Yeah, etc., etc. Now, multiple tiles, something we'll get, we'll worry about much later. But that's certainly something that gets used a lot in games. But that's not for now. Okay, so we can separate those all out. So each face now occupies its own little bit of space in our UVs. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So everyone should be unique because they're not overlapping. So everyone's got a unique bit of content. So I could paint on this image different parts and it would appear in a single place. If they were stacked up, put 2 of them there, put them over, and if I painted here, yeah, that would it would appear on 2 faces. No, we don't want that. But what we do want is we want to worry about our seams because they're not matching. Yeah, I've got this sort of join here, and look at those lines; they don't meet up. Now imagine if this was brick, and I had faces of a brick here with a mortar, yeah, and that was a mortar line. Yeah, it wouldn't match; it would all be staggered. And if it appeared like that in my scene, or if it was going around that way, yeah, it appeared like that. I was standing up against a brick wall. That would look really odd. Yeah, this joint. Now I need to align them, and the way that we do that is to put islands together to make seamless links so that they join up. Now I could, if I wanted, just work out which ones go next to each other. That one and that one. Now the blue lines tells me where they actually link up together, so they probably link up like that. So blue line, blue line, blue line, blue line. So they link up like this together. So I know if I just place that next to each other, yeah, they're going to sort of see, look at that V bit there. Yeah, slowly, if we bring it, we can get the V to match exactly and the lines to match exactly, yeah, by bringing it closer. But, there are easier ways to do that rather than actually trying to zoom in and do it manually and put it exactly together. And what you could do is, and this is why we use text tools, we can just select these with text tools. You can iron those 2 bits. And it puts them together, makes them an island. If we just relax it to make sure it's straight, bring those out. Now they are linked together. Yeah. Look down here, I'm on polygon selection, so I'm selecting by polygon. I could select an edge or a vertex. But what we want to do is use this option here, which is to select the island, the element. So if I do that, that will select all of the little bits. And now I know that that is a seamless loop and they match exactly. And this is why we blend things together. And this is why we create little groupings, little islands, and then UV islands of UVs. Now, okay, so that one and that one might be really important. And I might be looking at that edge. And I might also think that, hang on a second, that one is really important, that edge there. So I've got matching there and then matching there. It really depends on the object what you need to do. So we'll find out what that one is. Bring that down. What is the edge that it connects to? It connects to the 2 edges, obviously. Let's swap onto edge. It's always, takes time to work out which is which. We don't want to select the element, so we'll just select that edge. All right, so it looks like that one goes to the blue there. Yeah. So with that selected, I can just use this stitch option, stitch to target. Okay, now it's stretched it, and that's not great. This is where we will use text tools again. I'm going to select that polygon and that island. Yeah, and then if I iron and relax, didn't want to iron and relax, I can just relax, and then bang, there we go. Everything is stitched together and roughly straight. So we can see we've got coordinates that match up there and match up there. So that's seamless there and seamless there. Only problem is here is not so seamless. Yeah. Now, look, they're not the right scale. Yeah, they're all sort of different. Okay, that is stretched because we stitched it and it's not come back to the same aspect ratio. It's slightly stretched. If we have a look, it's gone like this. Don't want the element, we'll just select the edge on its own. It's stretched. Yeah, and we don't want any stretching. So what we can do to make sure that everything is in the same sort of scale is we can select all of them. So I'm going to go back to polygon and element select all of those. Now I want to make sure that they're all the same scale and they all exist within this space. And to do that, I'm just going to use this option here, pack normalize. Bing, there you go. So that's put everything pretty much to the same scale. And there you go. So we should have, yeah, we still got some seam in there, but everything is at the right scale. I don't think the box is actually square to begin with. Let's just go back and change that. It's an editable poly. That'd be that would take. Oh, okay. Let's just do that again. Right. Let's box. I'll make sure it's exactly square now, so you can see that happening. Box. We've got length. Put that to 100 centimeters. 100 centimeters. 100 centimeters. So it's a complete cube. Move it. Snap everything to the 0, 0, 0. Add an unwrap on it. Open up the UV editor. There are my 6 squares. Yeah. If I pack normalize, it'll be 6, all of a different in a different space. Yeah. So they're all different. So I could paint individually, a bit of paint there, and that will only appear on the one face that corresponded to that one. But let's say that's really. Let's have a look at this texture checker. Okay, so let's say that that's really important. We wanted that to that seam to seamlessly, textures to seamlessly flow across. We can select that, and then we'll iron and relax, put those together. Yeah, now we'll work out which, this one, because we want that one to be really good. So that one is that one there, so we'll put that there. Swap on, click on edge, and we want that edge. That edge lines up with that. So we'll just stitch to target. Yeah. Now we've got that stitch. Now it's stretched because we just moved that edge down. So now we need to make sure it's all even. So we're going to select them all, and we're just going to relax it. Okay, this is not quite oriented as it should be, so I'm just going to straighten it up. And then maybe relax like so. So I've straightened and relaxed it. It brings it back into the right shape. And then with them all selected, I'm just going to pack normalize, and bing, there you go. These 3 are all together. I have got one seam here. Yeah, if you notice. So that's that seam there. And it won't, well, okay, because we're folding it and they're all even, this time they actually matched up. In the previous example, they didn't match up because the lengths were different. But that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's good enough. Okay, now we might want to do exactly the same with the other side, and do it that way to make sure that they join. But as I say, it all depends on how the object appears in the scene. What are the important things that need to match? What are the important seams? So the placement of your strategy for unwrapping is absolutely key. Okay, so that's, say, the first object. I'm going to collapse that all now. So that's poly. Let's just show you this. We've applied the modifier, but if you look, we've collapsed it and then opened it up. They're all still there. Yeah, it's no problem. If we delete it, it's just a viewer. Yeah. So we're viewing the UVs that already exist on this object. Right, so I'm going to move that out of the way, and then we're going to start to have a look at another object, another type of option we can do. Bring that over there. Now imagine we've got a relatively complex object. This is going to be a sphere. I'll create that. So look at the geometry. Okay, so that's our object. I'll put it there. Yeah, let's make it an editable poly. Now I'm going to select some polygons. Poly 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll select that. Right, now let's say we're going to extrude that. Okay, so this is a complex object. Now, well, it's not a complex object, but it's going to be a difficult thing to unwrap, particularly when we're thinking about the context of stretching UVs. So let's have a look. If we select that center vertex there and move that out. But what I will do is if I use soft selection, just to affect a range. There we go. All right, so we've got this shape here. Now, if I throw on modifier here, UV unwrap, I don't want to select any polygons. Let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so we've got something that is really not good. All of this, everything stacked up on top of each other. That's really not nice. If we put the texture checker on there, look, it's all over the place. We've got stretching there. Now, obviously, we want to get everything as uniform as possible. That's the sort of the end game here, to have all of the texture, the density and the stretching to an absolute minimum. So that's one square. So, one of these will really distort any sort of image and things. And that's what we need to sort of address. Now, so, obviously, this could be a face, could be a head, could be lots of different things. But let's see how I'm going to go about unwrapping it. Okay, so let's select these. I'm going to select those. I'm sure there's a quicker way of doing this, but I don't want to move anything. So we'll just select all in that way, just holding down Control. And I'm going to use these options here, grow. And I'll grow out that area. Okay, so we'll select that. And then I'm going to iron and relax. Okay, so I've got this like nose. Yeah, so imagine this is a nose, and I've separated it out from all of this. I'll put that down there for now. So this is my seams. Now look, because we separated that area, we've got these map seams, green, and they show you your islands. Yeah. Now you can see, look, all these jagged edges here. That's all that lot, which is all a bit weird, and they distort as well, which is not great. But with that selected, we've got options, to sort of to help us with that object. Now, one of the way that we can do it is use this option here, pelt mapping. Normally, we've just been, this really is the iron, is a sort of a shortcut and a quick way of doing some peeling operations. So we're peeling things off. So it's like the skin of a orange, peeling it off and then laying it out flat, peeling it off and laying it out flat in different parts. Now, we can't really do that. Imagine this is an orange. And we've peeled something off of it. This is what we've got, but it's, as we try to flatten it, it's overlaid, which is not great, which is why we get this stretching and this duplication. If we put that on, you can see this sort of duplication of stuff. That's really not good. So we can use this option here, pelt mapping. And if we open that up, it gives you this other view of your objects, and it gives you this ring around everything. And what we're going to do is we're just going to stretch. It's like, imagine it a bear skin or something. That's why it's called pelt mapping, an animal pelt. And we stretch it out, and there we go. So we do that. We look here. Now it's not going to be perfect because we're obviously taking a very different object and stretching it. And it is going to be distorted. We're never going to get 100% even. But we've sorted out that arrangement. Yeah, I think in reality this is a little bit too. Let's relax it a bit. Okay, stop, relax, see what happens. Okay, so we're okay there, but we've got some distortion. Let's have a look. So we pelt map, reset. So we're just looking for an even, or as even as we can get it, distribution of the ways within which we can stretch and arrange these UVs appropriately. Now, yeah, that's sort of a good attempt for that shape. Now, question next is, where do we go with more complex objects? I mean, this is the basic functionality, and this is when we can start to move on to look at things like some of the things in the Autodesk training material. Here, let's say if we were going to do that pelt mapping elsewhere, let's select, and this is the other where we can use peel seams. I'm just going to select this edge, which goes all the way around, yeah, and turn it to a seam. So here we've got this option seam, and they go blue, and then I'm going to select that. I'm not going to worry about that there. I could deselect it, all of this, and we have to edit seams. But for now, I'm going to turn that there, and I'll take this object, polygon, select, expand to selection. So we'll take that. If I open up the editor, we can see there, that's what I've got selected, and let's, what we're going to do, we're going to iron it, relax it. So we've got that shape there. Let's just do a quick peel, start pelt mapping. So we're starting again, yeah, to stretch it so that we get less problem here. And we can commit that change. Now, I think it's one of the things we can do, because obviously, we're not getting the results that we want here. I'm just using this as an example. Yeah, I'll move that out of the way. If I was to take that, now we've got the okay, which is this part. If I iron and relax, we've got these two bits together. I've not actually experimented with this, but we'll see how this goes. If we take that, you see that if we go into edges, as we were doing earlier, we've got that edge connects to that edge. Now, if I select, actually, let's just do that, or undo that, or put it the same. So I'll expand that. I'll put that back to where it was before we pelt mapped it. So that's that there. Sort of looks okay. You might think, yeah, great. But the seams might be important. One area of the seams might be okay, here and here, or you might need that. So what we'll do is, let's try this. We will edge. So I select these. You can see that the target where they connect to is going blue. So I'll put those together. So that's the top half of the sphere. Let's stitch those together. Okay, so that's brought them together. Now, select the island. So that's all of that. Let's try pelt mapping that. See what happens. Start pelt. Now we've stretched it. Yeah. So that we get seams that are okay up here. Yeah, we have obviously got some distortion up here. Yeah. Here we've got a seam. So that's beginning to work out how we can separate areas, flatten them out, bring parts of them together. If we commit that, there we go. Now, and you probably want to, if this was a nose or something, well, I mean, that's obviously an extreme example, but we'd have to devise and think of a particular unwrapping strategy. So I might want to do that. Select that part. I'm going to select that part as well. Yeah, unwrap that. Put that there. Yeah. Do the same on the opposite side. and then iron relax. Yeah, and then look at joining it all down here and then pelt mapping those so that we get an even distribution, something like that. Okay, that was that bit there. Got that. Yeah, and that. Let's select that. Iron relax. Okay, so let's just open now the scene file from the Adobe UV Unwrapping in 3ds Max course. Just incidentally, if you open up here on Electric Monk, you go to the course, the video series, and you can download the files here so that you can follow along and practice this at your leisure. As I said, there's all the instructions here, how to do it from start to finish, but it's 3ds Max centric, as I mentioned, so it's using solely, it's not using text tools, and you can probably get things done in quicker ways using different workflows. Okay, so here is the scene. Now, let's have a look here. I mean, this is probably the most complicated one. Well, actually, no, we'll just go very quickly, just go over this. Now, this is one model, yeah, so relatively complex architectural model. If we have a look and then have a look at the modifier, here we go. Put it on polygon, element selection, there you go. So it's unwrapped like so. Yeah, if we select each part, yeah, we can see the islands, literally just clicking on the bits here, all of the islands that are grouped together. You know, I mean, it's not particularly, so that one, as I click around, yeah, that one, yeah, so everything is just set up to be flattened out. Yeah. So it's a question of how do we break up all of these areas is more important than you know, how to do it in text tools. Like if we were going to do this, let's close that. If we select this object here, I'm going to duplicate it, holding down Shift and move. So I've copied it. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the UV Unwrap modifier and let's convert it to an editable mesh. Now I'm going to remove all the UVs. So I'm going to use here, go onto the tools, more, UVW remove. The reason why I said I changed it to an editable mesh is so that we can do this, set gray, remove materials, remove UVW. So just click on both of those. And now we've got everything right back to scratch. Okay, so we can turn it back to an editable poly and then apply an unwrap. Now if we open up the editor, you know, we've got our basic UVs just looking projected straight down. So if we put a texture checker on there, yeah, everything on the top is okay because we're looking at it straight down. But here is just completely stretched because they're sort of like vertical, coming towards the camera here. You know, that edge, it's just a line. So all of these pixels are just stretched. But if you remember from the other one, this, yeah, it's just one whole texture. Yeah. So what we would do would be close that. F4 to see the wireframe. Literally we can select all these polygons. Now that is slightly agate. So we'll look there, and literally I'm going to go around and select. That's a billboard there. Let's say that's going to be something else. We want a poster or something on there, a sign. The door, that could be something else as well. Although no harm for, actually no, we'll do that like that for now. So I'm just taking all of these surfaces. That's a window. Oh, I'm going to leave that. That could well be something else. Yeah, going through the building. So I'm not going to worry about that. This is going to get a little bit annoying, so I probably need to hide that. I haven't lost my selection, which is good. Then we'll take that. I won't use that window because there's another window there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that might need need another material. So select. Yeah, we've got that. Open up the editor. Yeah, so there are all the UVs. We've got things here that are not really that are vertical. Open up text tools like so. Iron, relax, and then bring it out. Okay, and that's that face there. Yeah, you might want to select the entire element. Like so. Okay, so I've missed a few little bits here. So I'm going to click on that just to make sure that's okay. Let's have a look. Yeah, should be okay. We've got inside the window to do, and inside that area, and the area for the sign. Yeah, I'm going to keep that like that. Iron, relax. Okay, and there we go. So I might just relax it again. Straighten up some of the edges. Just click on that a few times. Relax. Straightening it all out. And there you go. That's one piece. Yeah. Now we might do exactly the same here. Might think, right, that's cool. We'll need to do that. Get that away. That's fine. We'll keep the door separate. That could well be a different material. If we needed to blend, we could take that out. Maybe I'll do that, and then, I think you're getting the idea. Okay, so we could take that. So we've got those selected. We will text tools, iron and relax. So that's that there. I'll select that island, bring that out. Okay, now I might want to join that to that. We know how to do that. So we're going to go on to edge. Not on the thing, so we'll go that one. Not that one. That one. Well, in fact, saying that, rather than selecting those, because they're separate like that, if I iron and relax those, they should. Oh, look at what's happening there. Okay, so that's not working too great. So I'll undo that. Okay, and we'll go back to stitching. This is why setting the undo levels right at the start of a project is important. Making sure that you've got enough undos, because this stuff happens all the time. So we'll select that. Stitch it to target. Okay, so we've got a slight issue there, so I'm not. So I'm not sure why that is. let's not do that one. So deselect that, stitch to target, and then let's set the island. Now we're going to relax. Yeah, okay, so that's, yeah, so that bit. So we're having a bit of an issue here on the fold. Not 100% sure why that is apparent. Could be something to do with the model. Let's just relax it. Okay, so I'm just constantly relaxing, and that's slowly going to bring it back into a decent shape. Okay, so we're relaxing it down, and the important thing is this join here, yeah, is going to be straight. Oh, hit on that. Okay, hit iron by mistake as I was clicking away. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this rather than just repeatedly clicking relax. And there is actually. We can, where is it? We can start to use these options here. But to be honest, I just like to just do it manually so I can see what's happening, and then I can sort of just undo if I go a little bit too far. Just slowly bringing it around. Don't forget as well, you've got this, where is it? Reshape element, straighten selection. Now if you do this, you could again have very odd results, which sometimes are difficult to recover from, but that's not a problem. All right, so we've got that's sort of unwrapped, and then we can start to individually think about these bits. Let's say we might want to take that, and that, and unwrap that. So I'm going to iron and relax, bring that up, and then I might want to stitch to target, because that join might be really important there to have the brick or whatever it is go straight around the corner. So I might use the vertex, come out here, and then literally stitch that and that and that to the inside of these areas here. So that would go across there, and then again back into relax and all the rest of it, and just bring that into it's actually, yeah, bring that into where it should be. So 2, 3. Yeah, bring that in there, and then relax, and just get it so that it's aligned. Yeah, there's no actual join there. You see they're still separate. Yeah, that's fine. So it's not skewed, but slowly we've got that together. That if we look at a checker pattern, yeah, that goes around there nicely. So this is all cool. That's all good. Yeah, we're starting to do that. We've attached that bit on there, and then it's just a question of slowly going around all of the things, making sure that your textures are roughly, adopting the same sort of layout, same sort of thing. Once you've done, and let's say I've managed to do all of that, and I've done all of that, and that's exactly what I want, then the next thing to do is to go padding, pack, normalize, and that will do everything at the same scale. Yeah, so if the things that we've unwrapped all fit in appropriately. Okay, so I mean, basically for this one, you would just carry on doing exactly the same, and that's job done. Nothing sort of really, it's a fairly complex object, but nothing that we can't really handle. Right, let's have a look. Let's look at this. This is the next sort of thing that we could do. I'm going to isolate that, so we're just going to have a look at this. Now, this is probably we'll try and do the same. We'll take that, we'll make a copy. I'll get rid of the unwrap, convert it to an editable mesh, UV unwrap, and materials. I'm going to remove the materials, remove the UVs, set it to grey. There we go. Okay, so here, if I go back to this one, yeah, UV unwrap UV editor. These are the UVs. This is what we've got. Let's put texture checker on. So we've got all of those. Yeah. Let's get rid of that for a second. So that's one set of UVs, and you can see that's there. Yeah. And it's been flattened out. Okay. That there, again, been separated and flattened out. Here, let's do that. The ears there, that's flattened out. So flattened out and then joined together. Same on the other side, flattened out and joined together. Got a neck piece here, yeah, that goes on a ring all the way around. Now we've got seams. You know, we're never going to escape having seams. It's a question of hiding them, making them less prominent. That's the main thing. So let's have a quick look. So this bit, you know, this is all up here. So we've got the upper part, the lower jaw, let's say here, is all separated. And this bit where it goes together, we've got a seam through the middle. The ears are separated off. The neck part is separated off. And this bit here, the horn, is separated off as well. Okay, so how would we go about doing that? Right, first of all, so we look at that one. Let's select, let's come out of that. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Right, so we know that let's separate these ears off to begin with. Convert it to an editable poly. I'm going to unwrap. Let's select a load of polygons. Now, let's do this. Let's draw some. Okay, so there are a couple of things I could do. I could select all of these up at the top. Yeah, just select a range and then grow and then go down. Yeah, like so. Yeah, and then I can manually select those. That would be a quick way of doing it. Or we can do edge selection, double click to go around, and it will select all the way around to here. Hold down Control, double click. I'm drawing this edge, so everything in red. Make sure that we get the right one here. Yeah, going around all the way, like so. Yeah, joining it up, like so. Okay, so we've got that, and I'll make that into a peel seam. We'll do that by pressing this button here, convert edge selection to seams. So now they've gone blue. So that's a seam. Now I want to cut them down the middle because we're going to flatten it out. And if you remember from the example, I'm going to double click. I'm going to alt select on the ones that go out. Yeah, and that goes all the way around, and that's good because it will save me some time if I have to do the other side. Although probably one of the things you might want to do is use some symmetry on here. Just do one side and then map it all across. That might help. We'll deselect that. And then I'll turn those to seams. Now I'll do the other side of that later. If I want different painting on, on the things, then well, no, it's okay. I mean, it would be okay to use symmetry on this. Polygon, just select the one. Expand. So now we've got all of that one side selected. Open up our UV editor. There we go. That's what we've got by default. Obviously, just projection straight down. Open up text tools. Yeah, and then iron and relax. That's one side. And then if we swap over to the other side, bing, expand, iron and relax. We'll separate that off. Okay, so now they're two halves of the same thing. So Now, in the example, they were joined. They weren't joined everywhere, but they were joined at one of this part here, I think it was. So we're just going to rotate it. So they're roughly at the same angle, and then move it, and we'll move them close. I'll swap over to edge, not element. So if we select that, so those two are joined together, we'll stitch them together. So now it's one element. So select that, one island. So they're selected together. Now, again, we might have some really weird effects here. So if we relax it, okay, so that's okay. It's relaxed a couple of times. All right, we've stitched them together. Okay, and then that's one side. You know, that's all nice and flat. And if we look, texture checker, yeah, nice. Okay, then we might want to start thinking about the other side. We might want to start thinking about isolating this and doing that. So if we can do exactly the same, we'll swap onto edge, double click to get a loop as much as we can. Hold down control, double click. Yeah, there, double click. There, double click. Okay, so we've gone all the way around. I'm going to go up there, so I'm going to create that into a seam. So I've double clicked, it has gone all the way around, but I'm not really concerned about that at the moment. As I said, I might be using symmetry. So I'll convert all that to a seam. I'll get rid of that at the moment so we can see a bit of the seams. And then I'm going to select the polygons here. One, expand. Okay, so that's fine. Iron and relax, put that there. That one, expand, iron and relax, and that's the other side. Now I know that these two join, that joins to that. So I'm going to swap over to edge. Yeah, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, stitch to target, so they will join up. Polygon elements, select the whole thing, and then relax, and there you go. We got that there. Okay, so we got that, yeah, and we got that. Now, basically, I would go around, I would do all of the parts, put them together, arranging the islands. You can remove seams. It's quite easy to remove seams. There is a way to do it. We can come down and go edit seams here, and then you can alt click on them, and then that will deselect them. So those parts that I want to make one big area. So let's say if we want to do, let's say we'll add some seams in there, and then alt click to get rid of these in the middle. Because let's say we want to flatten this bit. So I'm alt clicking here with edit seams on. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Now I probably need to come out of edit seams there and then just go to edge selection, select that, which is the mouth area, convert that to a seam, and then this bit, let's go 1, 2, 3. Just edge selecting now, holding down control. Yeah, coming all the way down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be the bottom of the ear, making sure that that joins up. Okay, so let's say that's an area, not that last one, not that one. Okay, so we've got that there. Trying to isolate the top bit. I'm just doing this quickly so that I can demonstrate. Where am I? I'm going through the other one. Click. Try and double click so that I can do it quickly and select the loop. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Just change that to a seam. So it goes up round here, up round there. Down there. Just turn that. And then across there. That's so I'm trying to map out this area. That goes down there, and let's try and connect this back up again. So we can come out from that one down. Now I'd probably make sure that these really matched on the other side. I'm not 100% sure if that's right. It probably doesn't match, but this is an only example. Let's see what happens. So if I go into polygon selection, select that area, expand to the seams. Right, okay, so I've just got this area here, yeah, which is all the top. Now maybe say that's really important. Let's just test this roughly. I'm going to iron and relax. Okay, yeah, there you go. We got this shape, which is sort of okay. Iron and relax. I have got some overlapping stuff here, so this overlaps. But what we might do, might give it a quick go. Just pelt, and then relax. Okay, and that straightens everything up, expands it, stop, so that we can start to stretch everything out so nothing overlaps and everything's quite neat and tidy. Okay, if we look here, yeah, there we go. We've got a nice distribution now over that part. Okay, so you go slowly through all of the assets, relaxing, pelt mapping, dividing everything up into UV islands, and making sure that everything is nice and neat. So I'm actually just going to commit that to keep it. And there we go. So we've got that, we've got an ear, yeah, and we've got that bit. All these other bits, yeah, were just done in exactly the same way. Just going around making sure that they're all separated into logical islands. And then what we'll do is we'll select those and then pack them into our UV space so that the distribution of squares is all the same. The actual size of the checkerboard pattern is the same. Yeah, and that looks sort of okay. Okay, so that's cool. We can keep that. Let's delete that. We don't need the eyes either; they're separate. Right, so that's the one that we have started to unwrap, and this is our object. Now, let's say we've got a complex object that we want to unwrap together. You know, the unwrap modifier. Let's collapse all of that. Let's take that one, and we'll collapse all of that. And this is the really important thing. You may have multiple objects that you all want to go into one texture set. You want to paint as a group. You want 1, 2K or 4K texture for the whole range of objects you've got in the scene. Now, what we can do is if I select that, I'm going to add on an unwrap modifier. Then I'm going to open it up. And we've got all these pieces that we've unwrapped. I'm just going to select them and move them right out of the space. So I'll put them here on the bottom right. There's a reason why I'm putting them in the bottom right. And I'll explain that in a minute. This bit here, I'm going to put on an unwrap. Yeah. And we'll open the editor. I'm going to select all of the UVs, the ones that we've done. And then I'm going to put them in the top left over here. Now, so the other ones I put in the bottom right, and the other ones I put in the top left. Okay, so they're separate. They're not overlapping each other in these two things, but they're two separate objects. But that, again, doesn't matter because I can apply that filter, collapse that. Yeah, so we've got these two objects. Now I'm going to select both of them. So I've got the two objects selected, and then I'm going to unwrap. So I've instanced the unwrap modifier across both objects. Now if I open up, I look here, I've got nothing here because these objects are all here. Yeah, one up there, one up there. I'm seeing both sets of UVs at one time. So if I now select all of that, yeah, and then pack them, now they all go into the UV space and they all have got their own little spot. You see this? Yeah, their own little spot in that 2K texture set. Okay, so we've got a 2K texture set that's got 2 objects in it. Now, if I collapse 2 here, yeah, that will ultimately apply those changes to each individual object. Yeah, so if I now unwrap individually, yeah, we can see we got those there. Yeah. And if I select that object and unwrap, open the editor, yeah, we've got those there with these gaps where this goes. So it's important to note that you can unwrap and put one object in the UV space, the 2K texture map or 4K texture map, or you can select multiple objects, apply one UV wrap modifier to all of the objects. You can only do this, it's only beneficial to do this after you've unwrapped them individually, and then arrange them in the same way using pack normalize into that 1x1 UV space. So right at the start, I said you don't unwrap complex objects, you unwrap lots of simple objects and bring them together. And this is what I mean. So you break everything down, yeah, unwrap simple shapes, yeah, work simply, yeah, breaking it down into UV islands and then breaking them down into objects or sub-objects of one larger thing. And then slowly they all come together to build up one packed UV set. I hope that makes sense, because that's quite important concept to sort of get your head around, particularly when doing complex scenes and complex things, and particularly when you need to think about optimizing textures, not having hundreds of 4K textures all in your games and things. Okay, so let's have a look at the next thing. I'm going to open up my scene with a chap that I'm currently working on. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. Close that. Don't need that. Close that. Okay, so if you look at this chap when he arrives, right? So we've got these. Yeah, we've got these shoes. Obviously, I'm still in the process of making this. I'm a long way to go. This is going to be the rider of the rollerboard from the scene that I'm currently working on, the desert scene. I also linked into the root motion controller, so we're getting him animated in the longer term. So he can run around and jump and use mocap sequences. But it's a long project that will get slowly brought to a reality. Right, so let's have a look at the layers. Right, so basically, when modelling this, I've really okay. So we've got subdiv on. Okay, but I'm still working with sort of relatively primitive objects, and still keeping everything as I've not UV unwrapped it, but I'm just going to tell you how I would go about it. And what my strategy would be, but I'm separating all of the different things. I'm not bringing them together, and that's okay. You don't have to make sure everything is one object all of the time. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps with texturing. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a hindrance and just takes up a lot of time. The way that you do that, I think, is important. So if we look at these gaiters up here at the top, they're fine, and this inside, this sides are going to be really easy, and it's going to be really easy for me to wrap everything around. But I'm going to have a seam. There's going to have to be a seam somewhere. Now, you could put it down here. Yeah, logical choice for me is right here. So literally construct a seam, yeah, through here. So that modelling is not great. Yeah. I'm going to have to subdivide that somehow, yeah, or maybe move this and put it in a position so that it matches one of these seams. That would be the easy thing to do. So I could just go bing, so let's hide those. Where is it? Strap. Yeah, there we go. So it would be, what I should do is really, look, maybe even that one. I have to have a join there somewhere, or a kink there somewhere. 1, 2, 3, maybe here. Maybe here. Yeah, maybe actually under the straps, I would readjust. So I'd have that there, that, probably that one there, yeah, as part of the seam, and then that one there. Yeah, so I'd make that the join and then go all the way around like here. But that careful placement of that seam, so it looks okay. I'll do that one, yeah, that one, yeah, so bang, bang, and then maybe that one, or maybe that one, because it actually comes to that little point there. And then I would use that as the seam, and I would actually make that as the join, or as the fold over from where the strap clips work. Or I might want to bring it back a bit, actually, because obviously that would be fixed on. I have to think about how it actually operates. That would be forced through there, so that would be there. Yeah, anyway, so somewhere around there. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to matter too much. But I would, consider certainly where I would place them. Here would be really simple. They would be straightforward. Again, this would be really straightforward. That's just a box, so I'll just unwrap that. No problem there. Just making sure that this bit, because if we take the strap off, the clip has got the bit of the belt coming through. There's no issue there. I've just put some basic materials on so I can see that that's meant to flow through. So that's fine. But then obviously we come down to here, the laces. All of these are different elements. So if we take that element, yeah. So I would unwrap those. They would fold open. So literally they would just like, just literally fold that back over there. This would be a dome. They would be all the same. That's not a problem. Here, the laces, I would probably do it in 2 halves. I would just straight down here, just take one of these edges, yeah, straight the way down, make it into, it goes all the way down, make it into a seam, and then peel off the top and peel off the bottom, and then just flatten it like that. Again, that's going to be so small it's not going to notice. This again would unwrap. So again, they would be so small. Again, it's not worth spending a huge amount of time, just making sure we've got no real dodgy bits on it or anything that really stands out. So again, that's quite straightforward. But again, I would break those down and literally not try to merge everything together and unwrap it all in one go. So the gaiters, clips, yeah, they'll be fine. So, but what I would do is once I've individually gone around and unwrapped everything, then I would select everything, yeah, both sides, yeah, and then apply an unwrap modifier across all of the objects and then distribute them using pack normalize, all in their own little space, as we just mentioned at the end. Boots, again, that's something slightly different. Come out of isolate. So here, I would. Part of me thinks I really should have separated a lot of this, had different elements, but I think it's okay. There are some natural things that fit, some natural things that don't fit, little UV islands. This part here, yeah, they can all be different. So everything here, that's a UV island. I'll just mark out rather than clicking on everything. So that bit, all those down there, all those down there, that's something different. This bit here, yeah, flattens out. So that all the way around. Question for that upper part of the shoe is where does it join? And I'll put a seam right down here. And what I might do is model a little bit of fabric that runs down there, which you see really common on shoes, just joining that bit there. So that would help with that, and that would even mask that seam perfectly. That toe cap bit, I would put that as a separate bit. And then the sole, again, you know, I might do 2 halves, just straight down the middle, and then at the back. You know, that will flatten out nicely. And then I'll do the sides here. That will flatten out exactly the same as I did the side of the building, and then same here. Yeah. So I haven't got time to put all the seams in now, unless let's see if we can. So that would literally just be a case, because I actually modelled this quite well and was quite considerate on how it put together and everything. So to actually UV unwrap this, I think will be quite straightforward. So I'm not going to do it right now because, oh, look at that, there's an issue there. That might be something I need to fix. No, it's okay. It's a little a little inset there to sort of give a definition between the toe cap and the fabric. Let's see how this is doing. So we get that there. Okay, so literally going all the way around. We might do that in the middle. Yeah. Turn those to seams. Oh, I haven't even put on a, yeah, all right, use the unwrap modifier, turn those into seams, and then start to peel off all of this area here, and then join it together, and then maybe relax it using the pelt mapping tools to sort of flatten it out and get an even distribution. Because there are different surfaces, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Let's just add on unwrap. Edge, yeah, we've still got it. Okay, so yeah, okay. Okay, so I'll have to go around and do that all again. But that's, I'm not going to do that now because I'm still modelling. I'm still working on everything. But you get the idea. Slowly unwrapping, taking off the major bits of fabric as you go, separating off the sole, yeah, this area here and that area there. Yeah, for the high, obviously, I'm unwrapping, yeah, the low poly. And I'm doing it once, and then the symmetry will map it. And then when I apply, you know, the unwrap, you know, we'll just position different shoes in different places. Although in this case, shoes will probably be exactly the same. No one's going to be paying too much attention to say, "Hey, look, the shoes are exactly the same." Okay, so last thing I'll just show you is this. If we look at the head here. And then I put on, we've got one here, we'll just open that up. Let's have a look at the UVs. Here we go. We've got that relaxed and stretched and flattened out. Yeah, if we look at the that, there we go. Select the element, select everything. So if we have a look, we've got that. That's all just stretched, just wrapped around. If I isolate that, you can see we've got a big seam down the back of the head, which is fine. It stops at the top here. The inside of the mouth is a different UV island. That's here. Yeah, here. And if we move that around, just undo that. You can see the texture, yeah, is Yeah, obviously painted like so. Okay, so that's one big pelt mat, and then rejoined and relaxed UV island all the way around the head. Okay, and you've been shown how to do that. Okay, so yeah, UV mapping, unwrapping, and UV mapping really, really important and determinate part of the workflow. So lots of decisions that you need to make, but you need to, model and build your models in ways where you're thinking about, how you're going to unwrap it, how you're going to texture it, and then you make the model so that you can unwrap it in the best and most efficient way, which is why you really need to understand modeling, before, you start texturing, really, because they're so related. Um, Unless you're, just painting other people's models, to be honest. Right. Okay. So any questions on that, please give me a shout, and I hope you find that interesting.